Today's adventure takes us to Manteno, Illinois, and to Blooms Grove Cemetery, which you see here behind me. This is a beautiful pioneer cemetery. This is started as a family plot of the Bloom family and has grown and is still an active cemetery today. It has over 400 graves in it. And you could just picture this beautiful stone wall. Can you picture a gate here? You know, a horse and buggy going in here back in the 1850s. Just fantastic. So come with me today as we're going to explore this wonderful old cemetery. Okay guys, Bloom Grove Cemetery here. This is another one that goes way back. Pioneer Cemetery, really well kept. Considering it's kind of in the middle of no place, it's very well kept. Sophronia is the first one we come across right here next to the entrance. She's the wife of George. I can't read the last name from George. Allen, it looks like, perhaps. Died 1850. Yeah, it looks like Allen. Oh, this is nice here, what they did here. So this is the Tombstone of Grace Allen. It's nice that they did this. You can see this is kind of upside down. Eldon Allen. That's nice that they did this. They went through here. It sure saves me from having to try to transcribe these tombstones. Ella, Marion, and James here. Really nice. I wonder how long ago they did this, because things like this, like Elmer, you can't read this tombstone. It's impossible. So they must have had some very good records going back to be able to read that stuff. We have one here that doesn't have a new plaque on it. Loans, it looks like. Somebody, wife of T. Loans. Looks like 1879 or thereabouts. This is really nice. Jane McIntosh here. 1886 for Jane. Another McIntosh. This one can be read rather easily. William McIntosh Sr. died 1891. We have James McIntosh here. Private, 113th Illinois Infantry. Another Civil War soldier. Wow. I see a lot of them. Here's Hiram Todd. Really nice monument to him. All right, here we have a plaque with names on here. So I did a little research on this. I found out that they are not actually buried here. So the story is Hiram Todd and 3 of his children, Caroline, Martha, and Edgar, were initially buried on the family property, which I'm not sure where that was. I think that was near here. Hiram had buried his children there and wanted to be buried there himself. His wife Lydia survived him by more than 20 years and died in 1871. So 90 years later, in 1957, a descendant had the monument removed from the family plot and replaced with a granite marker which only said the word Todd on it. Sometime later in the 1970s, somebody found the derelict and discarded monument and had it moved to Blooms Grove Cemetery so the family would be remembered in the town where they had lived, which is that monument we just saw. Actually, it's not the monument we just saw. It might be the monument we just saw. I don't know. The monument inscribed with the 5 names, which we just saw, is a cenotaph. None of the family were ever buried in this cemetery. So that's interesting. We don't really know where they're buried. They're buried in a family plot somewhere on the family farm that we don't know where that's at. Or I don't know where that's at. Somebody might know where that's at. 1854. I sort of wish they wouldn't have just glued this to the original tombstone. It'd been nice if they would have put it on a separate post and put it in the ground next to the tombstone, adjacent. And East Johnson. We have Sally here. 1792. And Willard. 1790. Jared Johnson. He died 1896. And then we have Roe Child. Died in March of 1865. And you can see in the background a field of soybeans. So they alternate every year in these fields between corn and soybeans, because each one takes different nutrients from the soil and gives back different nutrients from the soil. So you can actually see there is some corn stalks that are coming up among the soybeans, because corn was probably planted here last year. So it alternates. It helps keep the nutrients in the soil. All right, enough of that. I'm looking at this one, April 7th, 2021. I'm looking at this one because you can tell this is a newer plot. Grass hasn't been planted here, and there's a lot of weeds. Interesting. So it looks like Doris passed away last year in September, and that's why we have that newer plot there. Got a lot of angels and statues on this one. John Williamson, Effie. When did Effie die here? Effie died in 1978. All right, back to what we were doing here with some of the older ones. We've got Oliver Grimes here. Oliver was young. Oliver died a day after his 5th birthday, according to this. Poor little Oliver. Not a good way to celebrate your 5th birthday. Got one back here. Here's Bloom. So this is the namesake of the cemetery. Bloom, 1835 to 1839. See there, first white death in this area. And that's probably James's original tombstone there. Interesting. Very interesting. Then we have the tombstone of David Bloom right here. So what's interesting here, he was a Major David Bloom. He died of inflammation of the lungs on January 26th, it says here, but obviously that plaque says 25th, so I'm not sure which is correct. Bloom was nearly 76 years of age, being one of the oldest settlers in town. He came from Pennsylvania in an early day and settled near Hickory Grove in Will County. He remained there only for a short time and then came to this place. Pretty neat story. It says his father was born in Germany, and he was sent to America to fight with the British against the colonists. That's pretty neat. I wonder, So I wonder if this was David's son, James. And then we have Henry Bloom and Elizabeth Bloom. Those two could have been David's children. That is neat. This looks like Polly, which I believe to be David's wife, Polly Bloom. I think 1850 something on the death there of Polly. Who else do we have? We have Martha Bloom, first white child born in this area. Now 1838. Now let's rewind here. Go back here. Okay, so James was the first white death in the area. So that leads me to believe that James was not born in this area. They must have come here, and Martha must have been born in 1838. That's interesting. And here's Martha's original tombstone. On the ground here, you can actually see it says David and Polly Bloom. Interesting story. So yeah, that's who this cemetery is named after, the Blooms. I love that there's this wall surrounding the cemetery. These nice posts, and it's in perfect condition. It reminds me of something that you would see over in the UK, over in England. And the wall just continues to go around the cemetery. That's really neat. All right, we have this stone here, which has somehow turned about 45 degrees to the rest of them. I don't know how that would happen. Aaliyah S. Morrison, Nee Gruber. Looks like she died in 1893. And we have Rosetta Gruber, 1930 something there. It's a rather breezy day here in Manteno. You see the flag blowing. Looks like it's going to rain. It's foggy, a little foggy. Who knew? Look at this. Andrew Jackson is buried here. 1855 to 1896. No, I don't think it is that Andrew Jackson. And we have Ovington Jackson. I wonder if it's actually Covington Jackson. Maybe they missed the C. We don't know. Nor will we ever know. We have James here, James Stevens, who, as you see the Stevens up there on the stone, who is still alive, 1868, no death date. Very, very old. Of course, I'm joking. He may have been buried elsewhere. He may have moved away. But it looks like his young daughter died young, and his wife died shortly after her daughter died. So that's a shame. Well, this one's interesting. Not only is it a fresher plot, it looks like Margaret has passed away, but there's a screwdriver sitting there. Not sure why that would be there. And next to that, as I walk around, that is memory of Edna Mann, 1894 to 1982. But what was here? Because right now, I see the bust of Abraham Lincoln here. And it even says Abraham Lincoln on it. But why are the bolts there? And what is that about? Maybe the flagpole was here, as you see the flagpole just in front of it. Maybe that flagpole was there and it rusted away or something. I don't know. But that's interesting that there's a bust of Abraham Lincoln there now and nobody's taken it. I mean, that's very nice. And we're in such a rural area that there's no theft or vandalism here. I really like these tombstones. Look at how detailed that is. You've got the handshake. I mean, just look at this detail right in here, going up all around that. Alex Mann died 1867. Looks like 78 years old. And Maria, wife of Alex Mann, died 1890. And here we have Maria Bumpus Mann, daughter of Revolutionary War soldier Frederick Bumpus. How cool is that? That's very cool. And speaking of soldiers, I see Jazz Dunderdale, 64th Illinois Infantry. Looks like a sergeant. Got Sarah here. Addison. I don't see his grave, however. Maybe that is his grave, I suppose. Usually there's a separate stone along with the military stone. Jane Dunderdale. Jane must have been his wife, I'm guessing. And here's Edward Bumpus. James Addison Dunderdale, 1881. I wonder if this is, this could be the James whose stone we just saw. Don't know. There are several new stones in this cemetery that I just wanted to show you because I just thought they're really well done. I've got one here. This couple married 52 years, Jacqueline and Michael, and I wonder if that's their boat. It looks like a nice houseboat on there. Really nicely done. And then here you have this one here, which is another nicely done one. That's probably Arthur and Peggy sitting on a bench staring at the moon. Married in 1991. Fortunately, Arthur has left us. Peggy is still here. And this one too. This must be of their farm. An aerial view of their farm. Norma and Howard. That is pretty neat. And then there's one other one behind it. Peters is the name. Looks like David and Donna. Must be fisherman and woman. As you see them there on the boat, catching what looks like a largemouth bass. Really neat. Neat tombstones. Very, very peaceful. Very tranquil and serene. The wind has calmed down. As you can see, the flag isn't blowing quite as much now. Look at this tree. Look at that tree. I mean, that tree looks like it's something out of a painting. What a beautiful tree. And we have a well here for people to water flowers. And that's in memory of Nora Chaney. I haven't seen many pioneer cemeteries that are in such good shape. I mean, this is wonderful in that they put these placards on the tombstones and that, and it's very well kept, and this cemetery really, really is nice. Nice bench here Clayton man, in memory of him, right here below the tree. So you could sit here and do whatever you do, read or whatever. But what a great cemetery. I love it. I'm just gonna walk around here some more or something. We got a lot of the newer stones over in this section, which, yeah, I'm just gonna stick to the older stuff for now, so I'm not gonna show you the newer stuff. So thank you very much for coming with me today on this walk. I really like the cemetery. It's so peaceful. So thank you again, and as always, until next time, keep exploring.